Malabkeen, everyone. Welcome to the show. This is the Social Hour. I am Deece. Welcome back to another episode of the program. Thanks for hanging out, guys. As usual, if you like what you hear, tell a friend, rate us, review us on your favorite podcast apps, even the ones you don't like. We need reviews everywhere, man. Give us a shout. We appreciate it. And let someone know. That's the biggest thing. If you like something, recommend it to a friend. And hopefully they come around and check it out too. Not a ton of announcements, guys. Just the usual stuff. If you're listening to this as it comes out on Wednesday, the audio version, I've got a show this Saturday in San Antonio, Texas, the special 420 edition of the THC show at Upstage Comedy Lounge, the one and only show where comedians will come up, do a set, then we go have them partake in cannabis, allegedly for legal. We have to say legally. And then we have them come back and try to do comedy again. Keyword is try, because it does not always work as well the second time. It's a great show. We're doing a special 420 event. We're doing on 4/19 because 4/20 is Easter. So we'll all be repenting from the sins we are committing the night before. But come down. That's a fun show. Tickets go fast. Show is at special time of 4:20 p.m. also. So get your tickets. Come on down. That's going to be a good time. And also I will be at Galveston Bay Brewing in Clear Lake Shores, Texas on April 24th. Tickets are selling for that too, so make sure you get those. And then Mexicana Cafe back in San Antonio, Texas on May 2nd. And big event, May 3rd, free comic book day, as everyone knows who is a nerd like me. May 3rd, I will be at Dragon's Lair, Alamo Ranch in San Antonio, Texas. Big event with some other big-time creators. I'll be there signing Kill Stand. We'll have copies of number 2 special release there. So come get your copies. We'll have all 4 variants. We have a Signature Series 9.8 CGC of Kill Stand number 1, first edition. We are going to be raffling off that day also. So come check out the booth and get a chance to win that book. That way, when Netflix picks up the right, you can, send your kids to college if you want. Or, just buy a Lamborghini, cocaine, and some whores. Whatever you want to do. I don't care. Fuck your kids. All right, guys. We are, that's it for the announcements. We're going to get into it with our guest today. He is a returning guest, although it's been a while. He comes to us all the way from our neighbors to the north. Don't tell Trump and whoever took Trudeau's place. I don't know. I can't keep up with Canadian politics. We're probably breaking some international peace treaty right now. A comic book artist, creator, Doug Knight. Doug, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. We had to smuggle him in on the dark web to get him across. Yeah. I'll probably have to pay some.
We're all linked up with VPNs. It's all good.
Yeah, some sort of like tariff I'm gonna have to pay for this episode or some shit. So
that's okay. It's gonna be huge.
yeah, man. How you guys did just get a new prime minister, right? The no more blackface minister, new guy.
Yeah. He's out. Yeah, we got Carney, and then we've got a whole other barrel of monkeys that we're figuring out who's good, who's bad, who's whatever. Another election coming up, but it's the right of the people. It's cool,
It's my general consensus that if they're running for public office, they're all bad.
Totally.
That's the barrier to entry for me. It's like, oh, you want a position of power? Yeah, you're probably a piece of shit. That's not exclusive to Canada. I mean, not in this country.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, man. The thing is, and here's the big piece of forgiveness that I have for everybody who wants to be in politics is that let's pretend that 75% of them go in there with great intentions. They want to do good. They want to see their neighborhoods get better. They want to see their parents retire happy. They want to see their kids be healthy. They get to these positions of power by swooning people and by saying the right things and being full of charisma. And then they realize that there's like 5 puppet masters that are about to, insert their hand somewhere uncomfortable, and then they have to say what they have to say. Otherwise, they crap themselves in front of everybody and look like an idiot. So it's like, the intention can be good, but the forgiveness has to be there because like they're all parts of a bigger machine, you know,
Yeah.
and some of them are hooked up to life support and dragged along by their ears, and others are happily thrust forward, you know. So I think like it's just that thing where it's like if I'm in this class of humanity and I'm like happy doing this with my kids and you know and keeping everybody steady, then it's good. If I
Yeah.
get into politics, then I'll just make sure that I wear a jock strap and extra thick underwear.
Yeah, you got to get into one of those places where you can become a dictator and dress up as a general, like give yourself some sort of position of power in the military. You're like, no, I never served, but I'm a general now, and
Yeah.
I can Gaddafi or something where you just you
Yeah.
just dressed up like a Boy Scout every day.
Or establish a political position where I can make sure that by perfectly legitimized voting, my kids can just take over when I'm done too.
There you go. Yeah.
That's how it works, right?
No,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah, just it's like a kingship. We just pass. Oh, yeah.
So I guess we'll jump into the ska zombie punk rock adults only book before we jump to the all ages books for kids in hospitals, eh?
Yeah, I guess, Nancy. Yeah.
Before we do that though, Kill Stand was really fun, man. I enjoyed it. That mask is sick.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to get this guy to make a resin, like a life-size resin cast of this mask that I can use.
You gotta be careful with that one, man. There's I don't know if you've had this yet, but like on Facebook, you get like you know it's part of the network game, so you like sure Jeff Johns, okay, I'm sure that's really his profile or whatever, right? But like you get all these like all your friends you add up and everything, and all of a sudden you get like, hey, bro, I'm a 3D printer. I can do this for you.
Luckily, it's a guy I met at a convention here in San Antonio. So, like, I've been to his barn where he makes these like Jason masks, like Friday the 13th masks. And that's what he does. And so I'm like, hey, I showed him my comic book. I'm like, can you make this mask? And he's like, yeah,
nice.
Can.
So. Have you linked up with Moose from Lampstands yet?
No, I don't know.
No.
Who's that?
So Whamstand is this company out of Cali, and I take half credit because apparently one of his parents is Canadian. So we're basically like brothers. And he produces these like really great 3D printed comic book displays and stands. So like he posted a spinner rack that he had 3D printed, and I was like, I want that. So he sent me the prototype. So I showed that at like one of my first shows, and it's like he's got some really cool stuff. So you can send him like all the files for your logos and everything, and he'll 3D print what your logo is, so that like all your table setup looks just like super mint. And he's got a little team now, so like and everybody's super easy to deal with. It's sick.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm just trying to find ways to get that pop at shows.
Yeah,
and I thought like a weathered looking legit mask would be a cool way.
That would be cool. Yeah.
So
you know what else would look good? Is it covered by Doug Knight?
Yeah. Hey, we've got. I should check my. I've got to check what we've got slated for this book because I know I've got some people in the pipeline, and I'm doing the main covers, and then I'm doing a variant for every book, and I'm trying to think if we have spots open still. But
nice, man. Well, hit me up, dude.
Yeah, we might be able to see what we can do. But worst case scenario, if not this book, I've got another book I'm doing after this. So,
no tariff on friendship.
What's that?
There's no tariff on friendship.
Oh yeah, there you go. But if I want the hard copy though, there's a tariff when it comes across the border.
Not if you print with Comics Wellspring.
That's right. I gotta say, I am not with Comics Wellspring. So
yeah, well, that's for you. That was kind of the tricky thing about like navigating Kickstarter for me this year was figuring out what I can do to make everybody's life easier. Like obviously that building shipping onto everything is a nightmare.
Yeah.
And luckily for me, like I've had a really good relationship built with the folks in Michigan there. And then, you remember Mark Bernal from Lesser Known Comics linked this up. Well, because of him, I met Brandon Blocksdorf, who's at Apollo City. And so he's going to handle all the distribution for this Kickstarter from the stateside stuff. So I think it was a pretty like amicable way of making sure that I could keep shipping like honest across both sides. And then whatever I get, I'm going to handle Canadian. And and then like, anybody that orders like the, custom signature from me or any like remarks or whatever, I'm going to like make sure that I help take care of the shipping to get it to them. So it's not
Yeah.
like, crazy. So you got to work with everybody. Everybody's in this thing together where you got to be, flexible.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never even thought of that, that the, shipping from America to you and then you repackaging it individually and
Mhm.
back out. Because I mean, what percentage of people getting your book are in America?
I say I've got like a really good mix because I've got people that are jumping on from the Chiasm campaign from 4 years ago and Super Wicked White Cell Squadron from 2 years ago. And so like it's right now it's like a 50-50, but I'm doing a lot of stuff to get local attention as well. Like I've created a couple exclusive tiers that like, anybody close to me or within like whatever 100 kilometers doesn't have to pay shipping so that we can just meet up.
Okay.
And I also set something up with my LCS so that like on Free Comic Book Day, I'm gonna just go set up there with everybody else and draw sketches for free and get people to try to pledge and back and forth those last minute numbers. So
Nice. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the way to go. Yeah, I mean, is Comics Wellspring doing your shipping for the Canadian stuff too? Because there's a ton of printers in Canada, right?
there are, and I've used a handful of the ones that are close to me. But when it comes to cost breakdown, the numbers for CWS when you order at a higher volume make just a little bit more sense
Okay.
than going domestically, and that has a lot to do with like who has to import product and all that kind of jazz. I printed with one setup, and like as much as I want to keep like that all Canadian connection on things, it broke my heart to they're charging me what I would retail my book for, like
Yeah.
$2 less or whatever, right? So it's like you can't do it. And like when I can do it, then I will. But the trajectory of my career currently is like I'm 15 years away from that, right? So it's I'd love to keep everything in house or whatever, but I also think that like I personally feel that the more friends you have in different places, the better you are, right? Like, as a traveling comedian, the more couches you have, the less hotel costs you have to incur, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, you
Yeah.
know,
I will say at my age, I kind of put a rule on comedy a couple years ago where I'm like, I think I'm too old to crash on the couch. Like if someone has like a guest room,
yeah, 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 yeah,
I'm like, but like a couple of years ago, I'm like, man, I mean, I'm 42 now, but when I was creeping up on 40, I'm like, I can't be guy on the couch anymore. I don't care how. Like, I'd rather even spring for like $45 and stay at a Roadway Inn than
yeah, yeah,
these, even if it's a shitty hotel than like somebody's couch, because then like they got kids or something, and you
yeah,
got
man.
or whatever. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah. It's good. It's good to have your own headspace too when you're working. Like that's the like, for I guess in the sense of like working conventions, you're on all the time. So you go away for 3-4 days, and you gotta like be in the game to like talk. Like, for those of you who have not met me before, I'm legally blind. So like for me to interact with a giant crowd of people, I yell at the same person 7 times a weekend.
yeah.
So it's like, and like I do it in a way where it's like, I'm not like an unfriendly carny. Like I'll say to people flat out, like, hey, if I've already yelled at you, and you haven't stopped to talk, come and check out my books, like, and then I'll stop bugging you because I'll have a recognition point. But it's one of those things where it's like when you get into the flow and you realize that like headspace is so crucial, because it's not like you're going out and partying or anything. Like you're talking for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and you're like so on saying the same pitch over and over again, and engaging and connecting and selling art and books, and like it's a whole deal. So it's like, yeah, you go to like your homie's couch, and you just like you wake up uncomfortable, you can't stretch, you can't do like your routine, you
Yeah.
have to like look for their Keurig pods or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to wander down the hallway in my chonies in the middle of the night and traumatize a 7-year-old kid or some shit. I'm like, it's just,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I
Uncle
mean,
Deece, what's Victoria's Secret?
right, right. I don't know what kind of, I don't know what kind of parental controls they have on their internet. I don't want to download some weird shit that they don't know about. Yeah, really in after shows too. I mean, more so now that I don't drink even. But even when I was drinking, like after comedy shows, people don't realize, like usually me and my opener, we'd want to just go somewhere quiet and just like have a whiskey and just talk.
Mhm.
Like, we understand this shared experience, but like we are coming down from this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone else is going up and they want to
Totally.
just go nuts. And I'm like, man, I cannot keep up with your level right now. Like I left everything on that stage. I am not,
Yeah.
ready to be this social at the moment.
I got a job. So I worked. I did Terrificon in Connecticut at Mohegan Sun.
Yeah.
Last summer. It was like a sick show. If you get the opportunity to go check it out, like honestly, so I got this really cool setup with my buddy Brandon, who does all the media for Apollo City and stuff, or for Comics Wellspring. So like we got a media booth. So like there's another little quick hack is if you can't get an artist alley, look to see if they have a media section. Because if you're a real hustler and you have like a library of podcasts, that's considered a media portfolio. So you can say that like, you've got a history of like being whatever out there. Anyway, so we got this table. I was the first retail booth as people were walking into this into the event. So like people are walking past, they're budgeting their money, and I'm just like, hey, I'm sending books to kids in hospitals. I'm a legally blind cancer survivor, and these are all my friends and all their awesome art. And so like people are like, and I've got these like pretty awesome sketch covers too, right? So like people would stop and be like, come on, man. But I worked the event with a couple buddies, Tanner Ogle, super sick illustrator, my buddy Brandon, and then this other dude, Mike, that I worked on a comic book for, like to raise awareness for low vision children, and so Mike is also legally blind and a much more reliant user of his cane. So I'm like, I call myself Doug Devil, like I don't call me, people call me that. I don't make them my own nicknames. It's not for me to do. But like, so I have my cane for like airports and new scenarios and stuff. But as soon as I'm comfortable with something, I like just kind of tuck it in the back pocket and only pull it out if someone wants to hit me for walking into them or something.
Yeah.
But so we get to the end of the show one night, and because it's such a cool event, like you've got some heavy hitters from the industry that are there, and they all go to like Pepe's Pizza and like all these karaoke bars, like they're all peppered around the casino. And so Tanner, who's like this crazy network hustle guy, who's just like, dude, I just got my portfolio reviewed by 95 people and they all love it, and you got to go do it. I'm like, I'm selling books, making money. He's like, yeah, but go do it. So like he's really all about it. He's like, so it's nightlife. Everybody goes out. We got to go see who's out and about. And I'm just like, yeah, I was just planning on going grabbing some Chili's and falling asleep. But,
Yeah,
I guess we can do it.
Man. You got unlimited chips and salsa. I don't know if you heard.
So we go out, and my other buddy that was accompanying us, he's like Iron Man. Like, I'm blind, but I still run a marathon and can like push a Volkswagen Beetle up San Francisco hills or whatever, right? And so like, I just realized that I'm hearing like, wow, whoa, hey, oh, sorry, oh, and everybody was like getting like real offended. I look back, well, he's got like his style of cane has a big like roller tip on it, and he's got this like 9-foot arc that he's just whipping this thing around on, right? And so like it's this beautiful nightlife atmosphere, and this guy's power walking with like an assault regulation like swing going on with his cane. And so I was like, whoa, 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 bro. Let's tone it down a little bit. So then we're like, so I'm already out of my comfort zone because like the lights go out and I can't see. And then I also realized that I've got to keep my buddy that's with me from getting me into a fight because he's like whacking people's ankles at the bar. And so it's just like, it was this whole calamity of like not wanting to be out, but then like just kind of riding the tide of being out. And then when I got back in, I was like, I can't wait to never do that again.
Yeah, it's all just a shit show, man. People don't, it's especially if you got 3 blind guys running around trying to figure out.
There's 2 blind guys and 1 hapless hustler.
Oh, there you go. Well, socially blind. This is actually funny. This is the second show in a row I did with a guy who's legally blind. Last week,
who's the other dude?
He was this guy who's in the military, and he was through kind of a crazy story. People listen to the episode if you want to hear the whole thing. But he actually tried to kill himself and shot himself in the head and survived, but legally blind after that. So yeah, it's kind of a crazy tale.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's it's like why I put the tumor in my head.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Just have that story. And, it would be hilarious if you like weren't even actually blind. You're like, no, I just tell people that for the.
Yeah. Well, so I did an interview a while ago, and the gentleman that was talking to me, or the person, or the Zay, or whatever they want to be, they were just like, they're like, you're not the only blind creator. And I was like, at first I was like, well, yeah, I know. But then it's like when somebody like, it's like for me with my limited Spanish, it's when someone speaks to you and like as a native Spanish speaker and you realize what they said like 3 weeks later,
right,
because you're still processing. So like I remember thinking about it, I just got like angry and angry as it went on. I was just like, I'm not, no, and that's okay. There's lots of blind people doing cool stuff. There's lots of deaf people doing that's what was that? You know what I mean? I realized it was like just this whole lightning rod. And then so I was at Toronto Comic Con a couple weeks ago, and I met Sam Noir, who's an incredible writer, and I saw that he was holding his cane, and we ended up knowing each other through my connection with the Canadian National Institute of the Blind because he's a new client there. And then I met another creator, Richard Fairgray, who's also legally blind, and so I was just like, guys, I'm not excited that either of you are experiencing vision loss and dealing with a frustrating lifestyle, but it's kind of cool that we got a bit of a team here. 3 blind mice of Toronto.
Get a couple more of us together, we might be able to finally take over the world.
But I wonder what the group, the plural of several blind people would be. A stumble.
Yeah. An accident. Definitely an accident.
That's a stumble of blind folks.
Yeah, there's so what do you been working on, man? You've got a bunch of stuff going on. What's
I have a crazy Kickstarter going on right now where I've got so I completed projects, and every time I complete a project, I'm like, can I drop a crowdfunding for this? And then I realized that I feel like launching for one book, if you've already got a path of destruction, is kind of like going to the well too many times. You want to give people something cool to like come after. So the Kickstarter that I have right now, if you head to the site there and you check out Cross-Eye 2025, you'll find it. I've got Chiasm, which is the sci-fi retelling of my life as a childhood cancer survivor, swap chemotherapy with alien molecules, has 3 issues. There's a 0, which is like a one-shot anecdote, a 1 and a 2. That's like your superhero origin, make you feel bad things, make you feel good things, super cool. I'm rolling that into a trade paperback. So instead of like the 3 issues that I have to travel with and sell low on one or whatever, people get it. The whole shebang comes with it. So I'm doing that. I've also got my all ages project, Super Wicked White Cell Squadron. I designed that to get distributed to children's hospitals. It's like Captain Planet meets Power Rangers. It's everything that we grew up watching in the 90s, cheesy jokes, cool armor, big robots, cool monsters.
Yeah.
It's designed from the perspective of things that I was told to help me get through the really crummy times as a kid. That are going to only mean certain things to like the other kids that are going through it now. Like the giant mech is called the MRI. And so what some people know as the magnetic resonance imaging scanner, MRI actually stands for enormous mechanical assault robot interceptor class. So and they're like transformation sequences like in the tubes, and they get like the diagnostic things hooked up and everything, and then they're like part of the robot. So it's just like building that really cool immersive thing, like when Omar gets called to his scan, like he's like, I'm gonna go kick some ass, like I want to get these kids stoked to do the good stuff. So that was really cool. So I've got issues 1 and 2 as a self-contained story, and they're rolled into a full volume trade paper. It looks really cool. It sold really well. So I'm debuting that as a crowdfunding project as well. And then I'm debuting Apocalypse Now, which is my ska zombie nuclear holocaust apocalypse, wicked fun, like 16 plus, just random violence and like an ode to being a shitty, stinky teenager who used to scramble for $5 to get pizza money, and it's also cool because it's like artistically, I can be a little wacky with it. I can have fun. I can draw detailed backgrounds. I can like get into the utopia or the dystopia stuff. I can get into like the body horror and the real mangled stuff, and it's been really cool just to explore that. Like, I want to reach that, like, the wider audience. I want to get to like the old punk rockers, the second wave ska heads, like, and really like turn it into something that can tour. Like, I want to be at Warp Tour hucking comic books because I know that it's going to sell to people, So,
Yeah.
so it's just doing a thing. I'm offering like this huge thing, sketch covers, like what, I'm basically like this. I'm running a month-long convention. So it's, that's it.
Yeah, man. How was it getting comic books into hospitals? I mean, what are the barriers for that? It seems like such a simple thing, but also,
Yeah, but it's not.
but yeah,
It's not.
the bureaucracy of red tape.
Yeah, totally. So actually, like, one of the coolest hookups that I got was through Mark Bernal at Lesser Known Comics. He hooked me up with Mark Weiss, who runs Comic Books for Kids, and they're a 501c out of Chicago, and they
Okay.
already have this crazy network of hospitals that they already have a relationship with donating to, as well as they've got other stuff that they do for vets and stuff. So I guess, like, for the military, they send a bunch of the adults only, or like more mature stuff, and then the children's hospital get everything else: toys, comics, all that stuff. So every time I send Mark 75 copies of White Cell Squadron and the coloring book that I made, he makes sure that one goes into one of the cases that they send out quarterly. So at least, if I send them 75 of whatever, then I know that it's going to 75 different places to light up 75 different faces. And then
I would think send the sick kids the mature stuff, because if they're not going to make it, they need to see some titties for
listen, man, listen.
Those
I
kids
found
deserve.
Spawn. Dude, I found Spawn at 10 years old. Nothing else existed to me. Spider-Man was a cartoon. There was no other comic books. The first impression that I had of comics was like this demonic silhouette standing over top of a river of blood and skulls. So, like, like, that's why when people ask me what chiasm's all about, I tell them that, like, honestly, if you're a kid that's gone through it, the violence in it is nothing for like it's all copacetic to what it is.
Yeah.
But then on my end, I'm getting really good at making the phone calls and networking and pulling threads. White Cell Squadron, I named all the characters after doctors that helped me through my childhood and my adult medical stuff. And so it's really cool just to reach out 30 years later and be like, you're a superhero now. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then that opens doors, and doing
any doctors you didn't like that you named evil characters, like, hey, you piece of shit, your bedside manner sucked. Yeah.
No, but my grade 7 teacher told me the only way out of cancer is death. So I put her into issue 0, and her sister-in-law read it, and it was Douglas. I was like, listen, art imitates life. Like, I don't know what you want me to say about that.
Yeah. There's a disclaimer: no persons represented in this book are, these are all fictitious people.
Yeah. I changed some spelling, but yeah, man. So for me, it's like I give to the hospitals around me. Just call them up, and it's a little bit easier. Be like, hey, you guys set my kid's fractured arm. I'd love to drop a couple comic books off so the next kids that are bored can get something cool to look at. The like, my Mount Olympus is Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, because that's where I spent like legitimately 75% of my childhood and adolescence, and so I was able to. This was a really crazy one. Was through my kid's dental hygienist, who is actively involved there. They got in touch with the librarian who got my books, and then got my books into the library there. So it's kind of like that. Like, I feel like I'm at a real, like, skin of the teeth point in my career right now, where it's like everything happens by the skin of my teeth. I get a cool table at a show because somebody drops out. Like, I get into an event because they've got just enough space. So it's like, at least I'm being noticed, and it's like it's paying off.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is. It's just hustle. The goal moving forward is to have a broader reach through Canada. So, like, that's bigger cities around me, different provinces and stuff, and get French copies of the book made up. When I get into the States more, Espanol copies. Like everything. I just want to I want to be able to make really good content available to everybody who's having a shitty section of life, or however it may be. And then the rest of the stuff is just fun doing art, smashing zombie skulls and listening to ska music.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I never even thought about it like that. what the scene would be like in Canada. I mean, I know there's big conventions up there, but also there's a lot of space in between cities up there. Here there's, even in Texas, it's a big.
You guys have a good scene, man.
But we've got, I mean, even so, I'll go do small shows, like 1 or 2 day shows in these small areas. And sometimes those are the best shows because it's like, oh, it was only a 3-hour drive. It's $100 a table, and I'll sell, 60 books in a weekend. Because if you're hustling out there trying to pitch it to everyone, you can really move a lot of books.
Yeah. Here I find, so there's, especially in Ontario, there's one company that does a lot of small town 1-day shows that I do want to get more involved with moving forward. But again, it's like that, I got 2 kids and a wife that I got to keep happy. So sometimes you just got to plan for the big shows. But then also establishing really strong relationships with local shops so that you can get in for 1-day signings and, just go make an appearance and do stuff is really important. And then establishing, like, I'm at a point now where I've started really making a push to apply for good panels and professional or guest tables with some of the larger shows, which allows me to focus on like travel costs and stuff. So, so it's the hustle. Like there are, and it's becoming more of a big thing too with more games expos and stuff. And, even with my history in tattooing, like I'm thinking about starting to hit up vendor tables at tattoo shows and stuff because it's, anywhere where you can sell art and be connected to it is a potential opportunity. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing is people limit themselves sometimes. And God, I've only had my book out since October, but it's like I've learned a lot. And really the biggest thing was I had like a marketing strategy in mind before I even had the book in my hand, and a lot of people, I'll talk to people on these groups and they're like, where should I submit my project to get done? I'm like, no one wants your project.
Yeah, do it. Just do it yourself.
Yeah, I was talking to this guy the other day. I'm like, I don't care how good your project is. Image doesn't give a shit.
Totally.
Guess what? Scott Snyder pitched them 8 things this month. Why do they give a fuck what you're doing? It's like, not that your thing isn't good, but I go, if you want to do it, man, you got to pay for it. Go do it.
Yeah, totally.
Do a Kickstarter, hopefully make some of that money back, and then hit a lot of conventions and plan to lose money or break even for years.
Yeah, like I think the thing, it's like, it's, I guess with comedy, it's getting up, right? Like, I'm not going to pretend that I don't listen to every Kill Tony, Rogan, all that crap. Like, I'm all about it. But like, it's such a similar process, and that like getting reps and getting up are like the same thing. Like, pitching a comic book is so much different than putting yourself on a timeline. And if you can drawing it and lettering it and, writing it and making sure that people like it, making sure you don't have 75,000 spelling mistakes or grammatical errors in it. Like, it's this whole thing of like, and the first one that you do isn't as good as the next one that you did. And if the 5th one that you've done is not as good as or better than the first one that you did, then you're already burning out and you need to figure out how to restructure. Right. It's like not being too proud to take an illustration course, opening yourself up to talk to an editor-in-chief somewhere. Have them say, you're doing good, kid. And then take that not as a fuck you, keep trying, but take it as this person wants to see you succeed and they're giving you the tools to build off. Go draw better cars. Like there's like these things that you need to put yourself out to, and like, and understanding that like, the thing with some parents where their baby is the cutest thing on earth and they get offended if somebody doesn't like look at them and fawn over it or whatever. Like, your baby, your comic book isn't necessarily the cutest thing on the face of the earth, right? Or the best story, or maybe it's been told, but it's like, find a way, dude. Like, you know how funny it is for me to hear somebody else pitch Chiasm, the sci-fi retelling of my life as a childhood cancer survivor? It's just like, it's almost my favorite thing to see somebody flounder as they like, because they see me deliver so like smoothly and effervescently, and like, and like I rope people in, and then like they hit this like speed bump. It's like, it's the sci-fi retelling of this guy's and so it's just like, but that's the thing. It's just this like personally connected thing that no one's going to sell as hard or as good as you. I got a buddy, you've probably crossed paths with him, Dan Price. He's got Bigfoot Nose
Oh
Karate.
yeah.
Yeah. Dan, I haven't met him, but I feel like he's like a brother, because we've like been so closely connected for so many years. But like, you got this thing where it's like, yeah, what a sick premise. It's Bigfoot, it's karate, it's this cool, like feudal.
You don't need to know anything but that. Like, it's in the name.
Yeah. But he's gonna sell it way better than I'll sell it. I'll happily have it on the table at my show, and when somebody asks, I'll say it's in the name, buy it because he's awesome. But like, but no one's gonna sell. Super Wicked White Cell Squadron, dude. The powers in the alliteration of the name are like the tongue twister. Like it's like inviting people in on this adventure that like I'm gonna say it's an all ages comic. Either you like it, you don't like it. I'm happy to talk ad nauseum about it. But it's only me that's going to do it. And that's the thing where like people want to talk about, oh, I've got this dystopian retrospective look at a sci-fi tomorrow where every power is a curse and every curse is a backdoor channel to a conspiracy. And it's like, that sounds good. Have you drawn it? Oh, no, I'm waiting on my illustrator who's a Russian expat who lives in Argentina who has, 1,000 projects. So you're just like, that's cool, but what's happening to make your project go? You know, so like, so it's that thing. It's like, just do it. Go to the shows, big show, 1 day show, 2 day show, art show. Like, bring your labor of love and show people why they want to love it as much as you do. And and it's part of the hustle and it's part of the passion that like lets you pound your chest at the end of the year and be like, I didn't even break even.
Well, it's like, I've told a ton of creators that I talk with, because my favorite thing is like doing these shows and listening to other people pitch books, right? Because like I can tell who's doing well the way they pitch their book. Because this one guy, I won't say his name, but I've done a couple shows with him. He's in the region as me, and I've ended up tabling next to him, and I hear him start pitching his book, and like, he's like a minute into this pitch and you're just like, you can see people's eyes just glazing over in their head. He's just on this long diatribe. Like, man, you got to be able to like hit him with like a line or two, and then you'll know if you should keep going, right? Or if they ask about more, and then you can go a little deeper. But like, I always really try to not sell the book. I try to sell them on why I love this book and wrote this
for
book.
Sure. Yep.
And that helps that like connection of the passion of the art, not just like, hey, here's this thing I want you to buy.
Totally. Yeah. There's a few things that like I've really picked up on over the last like last year was crazy. I got a project circulation grant from the Ontario Art Council, so I got to like book heavy shows. So it was like really helpful for like getting out there. One of the really cool things that like my buddies and I are talking about is if you get tabled next to like a Dungeons and Dragons, like a dice person or something like that, like they've always got like crazy setups, but they've got their sales pitch down to a T. Like I watched a table mate of mine, like, or a neighbor, like sell like gangbusters because they say pick them up, they're meant to be held, play with them in your hand a little, and it's just that goofy little like semi-erotic attraction thing, like just got people in. I was like, damn, that is so smart. And then like it's that thing where it's like, or when you're at a convention, remember that the people to the left and to the right and across from you are all there doing the same thing. So make it fun for everybody. Like I bring music. I make sure that like my community of table, like at the end of it, if everybody isn't buying coffee for each other, then it's like, it feels like a failure to me. Right. Like, because it's like, nobody, like everybody walks past the board creators, but if all the creators are laughing and there's like this, oh, I want to know what they're laughing about. It's like, oh, don't worry, man. It's for people that draw ridiculously large things. You wouldn't get it, but these books are cool, like, and so it's like, and it, I've even like, I get to the point where I'm having a great week and I'm like, my stuff is cool. Check out my homies' books because like they're also awesome. Or like, it's this whole thing, or targeting not the obvious comic book enthusiasts. Like I like targeting the dad who's cosplaying as a parent who gives a shit. Who's like this and like strolling and just is so mad that he's missing the Bills game. You just gotta be like, hey man, you having a good time? And then you figure out how to like engage with that, because 100% they're gonna rather talk for 5 minutes than like follow behind their daughter whose butt cheeks are hanging out of like the anime costume that she's wearing, you
Yeah.
know. And so it's just like, but that creates this like little break where you don't have to give your spiel. You can just say that you're stoked and you can't wait to go home to see your kids, you know, like and you don't get this like comfort level until you do it. And you do it like more than once. I remember the first show that I worked with Mark, we both met in Indianapolis. Dude, we threw a dart at a board and we're just like, we both have to suffer to travel to this same location. So like, let's meet here and make it like our first show together.
Yeah.
And like, um, we had this like, this whole thing where the first day I'm like, dude, I'm ready to sell. I'm like, okay, got my books. They're looking good. I got some art. I got my prints. I got the banners. Okay. And Mark's just like sitting there in his slides. He's got his hair barely greased back. He's begging and boarding books. And it's like the show is now open. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? I'm gone. Hey, how's it going? Gone. Excuse me, you want to talk about the gone. And Mark's like, hey, bro, they ain't here for you right now. You know, like it's just like these like VIP hours. Those kids want their Funkos. They want to get in line for their photos. All you got to do is just chill and settle into the groove of the day. He's like, around lunchtime, that's when you start yelling. And sure enough, man, lunchtime, you start throwing out the freebies. You start engaging with people. But like, it still took me 2-3 shows to get comfortable at looking like I don't care for the first hour. You know, so but you got to do the reps. You got to do it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, really. But you figure out the rhythm and how to do and how to, I mean, I just watched so many people really bite themselves, you know, just their whole approach, just torpedo their own weekend, you know?
Yeah, totally. It's the incredibly talented introvert, you know, and like, even if if you're not comfortable or socially dynamic, like you probably have a friend that talks more than I do, which is pretty tough to find, but you probably have one. And you get 2 badges at every show. So bring somebody that you can be like, this is what I want to do. These are my numbers. I'll give you a kickback or whatever, you know. And most people are just stoked to go work a show, you know. Yeah. So like there's somebody that's going to want to do that with you. Yeah, man, it's a blast. I honestly, I love making the comics. And I wish that there was like an easier way to do the work of selling the comics and making the comics without it like crossing over too heavily and like, you know, butting heads with each other. But like, I also just love that you get better no matter which side you do it. The more you do it, the better you get. One of the cool things that I picked up with conventions is like sketch covers. Dude, I got really good at rocking sketch covers over the last year. And one of the cool practices that I have now is instead of sitting at like, I got to look close like this is how close I'm looking to all of my paper when I'm drawing. So like, imagine that if I'm doing that at a table, 10,000 people are walking past me and they're just looking at the top of my dome and they could care less what I'm staring at or smelling or whatever. So I got one of those like 3D printed stools, the collapsible stools from Amazon. And like, I just set it up on my table and I stand and I draw. And what a simple change to be able to just like look up real quick and say, hey man, how's it going? Oh, I'm just checking out what you're drawing. Oh dude, take a look, you know, like just a little thing, but you don't know it until you realize where the weakness is and how to make it better.
You know, this guy that does something cool. He does he's got like a digital, he does all his art digitally, but what he does, he brings a little monitor and sets it up next to his table, pointing towards the aisle. So he plugs it in so you can watch him, what he's drawing on the monitor. And I just watch people just start to collect just to watch him draw, because they can watch it happen on this screen instead of, you know, looking over his shoulder, right? Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's so smart, you know, stuff like that was great ways to get people in.
But he's also paying the extra $75 for power at the booth.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What if it translates into sales for?
Yeah, I'm sure it does. You don't stick with the gimmick unless it's working for you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So what about how do you feel about comic books in general right now, man? The state of the industry, anything outside of just indie stuff? What do you?
I think that like in terms of it's kind of like politics, man. I can't. I know what's going on globally, but it's a lot easier for me to focus on what's happening locally,
Yeah.
because I don't have a say in anything the Diamond wants to do. Lunar doesn't care about me, and so like until they do, that's when I'll really look into it. I went as far as seeing how the political stuff is going to affect, like obviously distribution and stuff across the states, and like luckily because Canada, Mexico, U.S. have all shaken hands at some point. It's not going to like totally jack everything up, but there's a lot of really big creators that are all Toronto based, and they say that I think the scariest part is just traveling to conventions. The biggest thing that's like affected a lot of people is like being a creator, being invited to participate in a really cool show, a C2E2, MegaCon, whatever, and like you're afraid that you're going to get detained and shipped to the ass end of Cuba and serve steamed potatoes. Like so that part's like freaky, and that's where as a parent I'm just like I'll just keep it maple syrup for a couple years, but and there's no story you can come up with. Like the border, the guys at the border, like it's their job to sniff out bullshit. And so it's like I can only play the like I'm blind, I'm going to a comic book show, card
Yeah.
so many times. And then they're like, "What's all this awesome art in your bag?" I just like to doodle. You
Yeah.
know? Next thing you know, I'm on a boat and I'm surrounded by sharks.
Yeah. Somebody
So
tell me where I am.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like in terms of like the indie side of it, like honestly, man, there's like the indie comics is so cool right now that the guys that have been doing it professionally for 15 years want to be indie again. Like you got a lot of guys that are like all like are attached to crazy names, like they've drawn your favorite heroes, and they're all seeing how much fun we're having in Artist Alley, and they're like, oh, like I want to do that. Like the thing, my most contentious point about that is when these dudes come into the indie fold and they jump on Kickstarter knowing that like the $500,000 that they're gonna make because they're doing like the bootleg spider. I'm not like say I'm just like you do a bootleg of something, everybody's gonna jump onto it, and you're gonna be $500,000 that you can put towards a ridiculous print run and profit and mortgage and all that stuff. When
Yeah.
it's like you've got the other indie creators that are just happy to see $1,500 pop up because they got the supporters to hop on,
Yeah.
and so it's like I wish that there's a bit of a discerning separation between like heavies going to a crowdfunding campaign or crowdfunding platform and indie creators going there. It's same like musicians. You see a musician go on and it's like you check out their campaign, they're at $200,000 or something like that. You're like, that's cool. Because I know that they're going to put that towards touring and distribution and all that other stuff. And they have the base. But it is so hard for like ground floor creators to get in on like a crowdfunding without having to shake hands for 2 decades to get a platform or whatever. So that's the part where I'm just like, yeah, like you feel a little sour, honestly, but it's also part of the like those guys did the work to get that recognition.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I think what it is they've kind of cut out the middleman of distribution where like I don't need to have a corporation, I don't need to do a print run, I don't need to send it to comic book shops. What I'll do is direct to consumer. Like I am a brain, like I look at a guy like, for instance, like Brian Pulido from Lady Death and stuff. He's all over Kickstarter these days. And why would Coffin Comics make a print run and put it out on shelves? And they still do limited, they've put stuff in previews catalog, but like majority of what they're printing, it's like, yeah, if you want to buy it, you're just on the Kickstarter. We just sold, whatever, 5,000, 6,000 copies just through this Kickstarter. And it's like, yeah, you have your audience. Why do you need to go through this middleman? Why do you want to lose, make 75 cents a fucking book because some shitty LCS in Toledo bought 3,
Yeah.
What a pain in the ass. And then you got to worry about distribution and 2 of them getting damaged and blah, blah, blah. So it almost, but I mean, I get what you're saying. It does dilute it for people like us. Also, I mean, I go on there And I just look at anything that has like half a tit popping out, and it's like, it's like,
I'm so glad you went there.
no, it's like 7,000% funded, and then you have someone like some real deep, like fucking character piece, and it's like halfway funded and 3 days left, and
I honestly, so with White Cell Squadron 2, one of the big preventative factors that kept me from going back to Kickstarter with that was like I saw how many like smut books I'd be competing against, and I just thought like I don't really want like it dilutes the intention of the all ages thing if like Monica's gonna go look and she sees like vampire gangbang zombie cheerleaders next to my book or whatever.
Yeah.
But like and it's just like that, like my buddies, like a bunch of us are just laughing. It's like, do we just do the sellout smut book so that we can all fund our next project or whatever, like
I've thought about it.
like,
it's one of those things. Who was it Richard Linklater, some director?
Oh, Ron Howard, I talked about it the other night.
Was he the guy who's like, do one for me, one for the studio, one for me? There's some director who is like, I do the one for the studio so I can do the one for me. Like they get paid making the studio project so they can fund the project they really want to do,
Yeah. I'm sure there's a couple of guys that do that. But yeah, so, and it's that thing where it's just like, and the AI thing, like, I'm not the guy that's gonna like stand at my balcony and scream, "I hate robots," because like there's really a lot of
you can't scream that. They're in your house. They'll find you, they'll kill you.
Exactly.
You got to say it.
Drone strike.
Yeah, you have to say it into a pillow in the woods.
But like but to that effect, like AI is doing a lot of really cool things for the accessibility world, and so like there's a lot of like cool things that computers are doing to secretly help us while they plot on how to kill all the weak ones.
Yeah.
But from the art perspective, like standing there, like, there's an injustice there. And it's like, it sucks to see opportunities lost by people that spend their whole life crafting their skill sets and stuff. It's horrible. But it's also like arguing with a 5-year-old. Like they've already made up their mind and like you're not going to win. And maybe you can make a good point, but it's only going to be the conversation between you and the 5-year-old and nobody else gives a crap about it.
Right.
So it's like, instead of taking that outrage to social media and stuff, I'm going to focus on standing a little bit firmer behind my projects and working a little bit harder to shake more hands and, and just realize that like the wave of technology is coming. There's points that you can embrace and there's points that you can choose not to embrace. It's like being the straight edge kid at the party. You don't have to drink to have a good time. You just need to understand that like it's everybody else's decision to be blitzed or, mind-bendingly not with it. So like, and it's just like, it's a lot of like laissez-faire, go with the flow, like, okay, cool, man. And like it again, when there's money taken out of the pocket of a creator, it hurts your soul. But I'm not the guy that programmed it, So like I stand against it being introduced into industries where guys are like have been making their bread and butter, but like I'm also again just not gonna be the one that like loses my hair over it. I like my hair. I can grow it out in 3 months still and still I get the afro, like so I'm not gonna stress and lose that, There's the life's stressful enough.
Well, yeah, like you said, it's and people have already made up their mind about it. It's like one of those things I always crack up when I see these billboards that are like end elder abuse, like people that beat the shit out of old people. And I'm like, I agree with the point, but there's two people in this world. People that think beating up old people is abhorrent and people that have already signed off on the fact that they're cool with beating the shit out of grandpa and grandma. No one's been on their way home to be like, I'm going to fuck Mabel up tonight.
And what?
And then they see a billboard, they're like, maybe not tonight. Not tonight. You're getting off easy, Mildred. But tomorrow night, there's no one whose mind gets changed by such things. So
and
racism in the back of the NFL end zones. It's like where you're either no one's we're watching a league of all black guys fucking they run.
I'm not gonna be the one that takes on Roger Goodell. but like there's enough evidence out there that shows what the combine kind of resembles, you
Yeah.
know, like, and it's not color specific, but it is a process that grades incredibly tuned humans, you
Yeah.
know. So it's just like, I don't know, man. Like it's again, the world has made up its mind, and like there's like, what opinions are like buttholes, right? Everybody has one, they all stink, but there's only three that I've signed on for the rest of my life to care about, you know. So it's just like, and mine doesn't necessarily mean one of them, you know. So it's just like, as long as the people under my roof are functioning, I'm happy. And the fact that like I get to channel that positive energy and put it into my art and how I go out into the world, like, you know, it's that's what it's all about. Like it's this, like, you know, my mom, she used to say positive pebble produces powerful waves. And like as a little kid, you're just like, shut up, Mary.
Yeah. What do you,
Like,
is your mom Mr. Miyagi? What the fuck? I think-
yeah. But like, you know, you think about it now, you're just like, damn, that's kind of smart, you know, because it's true. It doesn't take much, man. Just a little drop in the bucket. And like, you know, the reality is I separated from like any theological attachment at a very early age. And now I've really resigned to the fact that you either are a happy little speck of dust that settles and someone sees and just notices and is curious enough to like leave it and see what happens, or you're that shitty piece of dust that lands right in the middle of the screen while you're trying to get a headshot in COD and someone can't wait to like wipe you out, you know? So like, what speck of dust do you want to be? The cool one or the one that's like irrelevant?
That's
So
right. Yeah. Well, you know, it's a good, yeah, it's a good, so outlook is, means a lot these days. So, well, shit, man, we're coming up on an hour here. Tell me, this flew by. Uh, tell everyone where they can find you, find your stuff, help support the Kickstarter and the books going to hospitals, all that stuff.
yeah, this is my favorite part. Okay, so I am at Cross-Eye Comics across all platforms. The kicker is that my eyes are lazy, not crossed. But
Well,
you check out
Lazy
Cross-Eye
Eye
Comics.
Comics was taken, or
No, I just thought it was funny to go against the grain. Sometimes you have to look within,
that's
not outwards.
there you
So Cross-Eye Comics, Instagram is where I'm most active, but I'm on X, I'm on Threads, I'm all over the place, everything but Blue Sky. And then the Kickstarter, you search up at Cross-Eye, or you search up Cross-Eye Comics 2025 on Kickstarter, you'll find my campaign. I've got tiers where you can just get one of something, but I also have tiers where you can get everything. I've kept it super affordable because I want to just get as big a print run as possible going. That is running until the end of May 4th. You know, any support, even digital. I've got a promo going on where like every 30 backers I jump on, I'm going to give away one of my sketch covers. And I don't care if it's a digital backer. I don't care if it's, you know, you buy the whole bundle. Even if you commission me for a sketch cover and you get drawn, I'm still going to send you an extra sketch cover. So I'm trying to do it super fun, keep the engagement going. I've got a wicked media tour. So I've like been talking ad nauseum, you know, 3-4 nights a week just to kind of push through this lull. And that's it, you know. And then if you want to just specifically donate towards my cause of getting books to kids in hospitals, I have a Buy Me a Coffee set up. So you check out Cross-Eye Comics on Buy Me a Coffee. You can put your donation, $3, $9, $10,000. Everything that I make on the Buy Me a Coffee goes towards getting books printed and distributed to children's hospitals. And then, so what I'm going to do is I've accumulated, I don't know, like $400 Canadian over the last year or so on the Buy Me a Coffee. When the
Okay.
Kickstarter is finished, I'm going to toss that on top and make sure that I can pile onto the bulk print, like cost breakdown that I'll get on that and get more books printed. So, you know, just doing the right stuff and having fun, you know, doing it and spreading the word.
Right on. All right. Well, guys, check out Doug's comic books. Check out the Kickstarter. Support the Kickstarter. Help him get more comic books to kids. Kids need to read more comic books. And yeah, that's it, guys. Support, help, buy something digital, physical. Get physical. Don't do the digital. Get a real book out there in your hand.
Okay, quick pause though. The digital bundle is crucial for those who have a high barrier of entry to reading physical medium. As a legally blind dude, I never grew up reading comics, but is when I got access to digital, I emailed you to get the digital of Kill Stan because I supported the physical, but I still wanted to read it and connect to it. So get the digital if you know somebody who's got shitty eyes like me that can still benefit from reading books.
There you go. So buy both. There you go. Buy both. Yeah, check it out. Cross-Eyed Comics across all platforms, guys. And again, as for me, go to deececomedy.com. Check out everything going on across the network. We've got a ton of live shows coming up the next few months. And check out inferno.earth on Instagram for conventions we will be at. We got a ton of those. Basically every weekend I'm either doing comedy or comic book conventions or both somewhere. So
what a tough life.
Yeah, man. It's you know what? Fuck all the adults in my life who told me to stop playing with comic books and stop doing comedy because there weren't real careers.
Still picking your nose and you're still making comics.
Yeah, check it out. Look at me now, fuckers. Make sure you visit us at Dragon's Lair in San Antonio, the one in Alamo Ranch location on Free Comic Book Day. We're looking forward to that. So that's it, guys. We're going to get out of here for this week for the Social Hour. I've been Deece, and for Doug, thank you all very much, guys. And we will see you all next week. And